What is up, Gopher Nation? I'm your host, Chris Abrego. Let's get right into the news. So guys, I just want to start things off by saying it's a bit of a slow news day, so there won't be a double upload, but we do have two huge stories for you today, so stay tuned. Our first story is about the carbon footprint of parks. Now I know what you're thinking, Chris, parks have very low carbon footprint. They're just a bunch of trees and grass. How could they possibly be emitting these greenhouse gases that are harmful to the environment? Well, take a look at this graph right here. As you can see, as of 2018, the parks in Minneapolis are emitting 100% of what they're emitting in 2018. And I know what you're thinking now. Chris, this graph sucks. If I were grading the student's lab report for chemistry, they'd get a 0 instead of a 1 for this horrible graph. And that also brings me to another point I want to make. We only bring the facts to you on the show, okay? I don't want to show you a skewed graph that the minimum is 50%. It makes it look like a bigger change than it really is. So I'll switch to a better graph that's actually going to show us the problem here. All right, so now you can see that we have 4 main emitters of the greenhouse gases. The top one is the energy for the buildings. So you can see the electricity and natural gas used to heat and cool the buildings creates a lot of CO2 equivalent. And we also see the large engines like a riding lawnmower or trucks being used for maintenance at the park emits a bit more. And the small engines like chainsaws and push mowers also emit a bunch. So we can see the maintenance is the biggest emitters of the park, but we also have things like throwing away their trash and fertilizing the lawns and stuff that creates a bunch more. So as you can maybe see in the first graph, the goal of the Minneapolis Parks and Rec Board was to reduce emissions by 10% in 2020, or 2022 actually. And so I asked my fans on Twitter.com yesterday what they thought the Parks and Rec Board could do to reduce emissions, and here's one of the responses.
Recently, the Dallas Parks and Recreation Board has been working to reduce carbon emissions within the park system. Many different areas of land have been converted to natural areas that no longer need to be mowed. Mowers that are still necessary for remaining areas with traditional grass will be switched from using gasoline to being powered by a renewable resource such as solar power. That solar power will come from panels located on the tops of park shelters. Some park shelters already have solar technology, while others still need to be installed. Along with that, recycling bins for organics will be available at every park location. With this, we are hoping to have a smaller amount of trash going to the landfill each week, and we will use the organic material that is composted in various park projects. I am very excited about all of the different ways the Dallas Parks and Recreation Board is working on to curb its carbon emissions, and I can't wait to see the positive impact that these changes will have on the environment.
So as we can see, guys, Dallas sets a really great example for what Minneapolis could possibly do to reduce their emissions. But there was another emission category that I think they could maybe improve on. So I looked into it, and it was their waste, what people throw in the trash. And what I found on their website was that they're already pretty much doing everything they can. See, they send their waste to the local waste treatment center, and there they harness the energy, but they burn it, and it creates energy somehow. I'm no expert on it, but there was a study that said that it's the most efficient way to take care of the waste. And until we have cars like Back to the Future, where they can just throw a can of soda in there and it harnesses the energy to run the car, we can't really do much more in terms of taking care of the waste to reduce the emissions. But the ultimate goal is still to become net zero in their carbon emissions, which means that the environment is taking up the same amount or more of the greenhouse gases that are being emitted. So more plants could possibly help, but also reducing their emissions entirely would help. So to tell you guys how Minneapolis Parks and Rec Board could possibly become net zero, I have another fan from Twitter.com who showed me what Melbourne does to reduce their carbon emissions.
First off, every 5 years, City of Melbourne creates a new 5-year outlook on how they plan on staying a carbon neutral city. In these plans, they set a new budget, what the money is to be spent on, and how long each implemented project will take, and so on. Each year, Melbourne spends about $300 million on all of the projects combined. One of these projects is hosting carbon neutral events, where catering has little to no red meat, guests are encouraged to take public transit or walk, and all the energy used to power the event is renewable. Altogether, Minneapolis can learn a few new things from Melbourne City, starting with initiating a switch from high carbon emissions to low carbon emissions, with the goal of becoming carbon neutral or negative.
So as you can see, guys, bigger, more populated cities are able to achieve the net zero carbon emissions that everyone should really look for. So hopefully, the Minneapolis Parks and Rec Board can replicate the same thing by 2022. Although, hopefully, ultimately, they achieve their goal of reducing their emissions by 10%. Also in the news, last week, as I'm recording this, the Badgers beat the Gophers. I know, horrible news for us Gopher fans out there, but it's okay, because as I'm recording this, Wisconsin's poised to lose against Ohio State in the championship game. And I don't know about you, but I hope they get destroyed tonight by the Ohio State team. So guys, that's it for today. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to leave a like on the video. Gopher Nation, now over 22 subscribers.